All right, well, I have some great news. I slept last night. It was like amazing. I woke up at 6:30, like feeling like, oh my God, I made it. When you do events, sometimes you might wake up at 4 in the morning and you just can't go back to sleep because you're thinking about all the great people you're going to meet that day. It's been an awesome few days here. I think that I'd be remiss if I didn't say it's an interesting time to be organizing conferences with a lot of disruption in the market. We co-located our GovAI Summit here, and as we all know, the government's shut down. And I was just having a conversation with somebody who works with the Department of Energy, and a lot of government officials are still here, still doing their jobs despite not getting a paycheck. So one more time, let's give it up for the government officials and doing that public service. Yes. It's huge. We're reminded that it's this. When you work in the government, it is a public service, and I think it's a challenging time for many in that space. So thank you, and we got to keep things moving, and that's what really. I'm just honored to be able to do this business because it is about moving things forward, moving the economy forward, and building new technologies and doing things that are positive and good for us. I mean, then when I got into this business, I was really greening the gills. I didn't know that being a convener would play such a critical role in the economy, but it really does, not to be self-important, but the act of coming together and coming up with new ideas and sharing opportunities with each other, whether you're on the buy side or the sell side, creating new things that make life better. And when we got into this, it was about mobile applications, and what a delight that was that, you could now, instead of going to Egghead software, you can just download it on your phone and have new applications to do things. And the creativity was just overwhelming when you see so many positive things happening. But also, we're at an interesting intersection in the technology sphere where we have this new capability, this AI. Machine learning has been around, artificial intelligence has been around for a long time, but however now the weaponization of technology is incredibly powerful, and it's really dangerous as well. We see the wrong uses for technology, and we have a lot of examples of that. And what I love about what's been happening over the last couple of days is that's not who we are. We're building positive things. We're building new technology to actually make our lives in the world a better place. This isn't about the wrong use of AI. And that's what I love. I love to see this. Our opening speaker this morning is somebody who I've known for several years, and I've watched her execute as a leader, as a CEO, as a connector of people, as a believer in people. She's the embodiment of how technology can be manifested to actually make life better. And I'm not going to steal her thunder because she has a great story to tell, and I was so honored that she offered to be our opening keynote this morning. Let's give it up for Susan Sly, the CEO and founder of thePause AI, to come up and get this day 3 started. Susan, thank you so much.
Turn on the microphone. Love you. Thank you. Love you.
Thank you, Susan. Love you too.
Good morning. All right, everyone. Good morning. How many of you, by show of hands, are hungover this morning? Just checking. I am humbled and challenged because the talk I'm about to give is normally about 45 minutes, and I'm going to do it in under 20. And a little bit about my background. I do big stage events, 20,000 people in Las Vegas, with Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins and all the folks. And I want to acknowledge Pete because this is a tough conference with the government shutdown, with air traffic control, with people deciding to stay home. And I want to acknowledge all of you for saying, yes, I am going to be here. So give yourselves a round of applause to start the day. That is a mediocre ass round of applause. Can you give yourselves a round of applause this morning? Yes, thank you. You're like, oh crap, is she one of those motivational speakers? Actually, no. I'm not here to motivate you, but I am here to educate you. And where are the slides, Cindy? Can we get those on the screen? There we go. I love it when technology works, and I love it. Oh, yeah. What the heck? Bless you. Yeah, it's not connecting. But you know what? I have 4 kids, so I downloaded the PDF because I've already got a backup plan. Let's go. So I'm going to talk about this morning why women matter in AI. And by show of hands, how many of you have someone in your life, a woman who you love dearly, who is 30 plus? And it could be a sister, it could be a partner, it could be a daughter even. So I am going to intersect my career as one of my career highlights as the only woman to deploy computer vision at scale in the United States, and talk about the data disparities in women's health and why we can't use synthetic data. And I'm going to do it in 17 minutes. If you're in, say yes. Let's freaking go. So I'm going to just ignore the weird line in the slides. I'm just going to roll with this. So a little bit about my backstory. I had a big life event in 2016 where I had been going back and forth to places like Cambodia and Africa to rescue children from sex trafficking. I've nearly been killed in several countries. I went undercover in brothels, and I really thought my life's work was to go and rescue these girls. And so I came back from a trip, and I was very sick. My body was shutting down, and I later found out I had an amoeba and almost died. And it was a life moment. How many of you have had a life moment where it was this wake-up call, and you're like, I need to make a change? And maybe it was cancer, maybe it was a divorce, maybe it was something where you went, oh, this is not the life I'm supposed to live. And I had been very successful. I had done over $2 billion in sales in CPG. I've been a top producer in revenue growth in 3 separate verticals. And I made a decision that I was going to go hardcore into artificial intelligence at the age of, I'm in my 50s now, so I was 46 at the time. Career pivot. So these guys are starting a computer vision company. And how many of you know there's a lot of great tech out there that never goes to market? Show of hands. Because what do you need to have? Yes, sales. Exactly. You've got to have someone who can sell it. And what else do you need to have for a startup? Funding. So they're like, hey, can you come help us sell? Can you help us raise money? And I hadn't written code since 1992. I graduated, I was like Doogie Howser. I went to university when I could have gone at 15, I went at 16. And I was coding early facial recognition technology back in those days. I have not written code, didn't know a thing. I'm like, okay, yes. So I said, I'll come and help. And sure enough, oh, okay. Maybe Cindy, I don't know if you're able to be helpful with this. Or Pete, thank you. Yes. Thank you, Pete. You're awesome. So I dive full on in. I go back to school. I go to MIT, and we start just cranking and going. And the first deal that I brought in for the company was a $60 million deal. And we became the darlings of NVIDIA because we were doing computer vision at the edge. How many of you are familiar with what that is? Right? So deep tech, we're selling a ton of GPUs. NVIDIA's like, yes, there's Azita Martin. She is SVP over retail. And we're doing all the things. And we even won an award for top AI innovator at the edge. We beat out Boston Dynamics and Ford. It was massive. And so I'm running full speed. And then I get invited to go to New York. Who is this gorgeous girl on the right? Hey, T. So I get invited to go to New York and speak at the Women in AI event. And girls, it's the best event ever. You know why? They bring you in. You spend the morning talking about AI. Then they give you champagne. They put you on a party bus and you go to a fashion show. Heck yeah, right? Like that. It's an easy yes. And what happened on the party bus was this. These are women there's Carolyn Henry, who at the time was CMO of the Americas for Intel. we're not talking about GPUs and CPUs. We're not talking about IoT. We're not talking about different forms of AI. Here's what we're talking about. How much sleep did you get last night? You having hot flashes? What did you set the room to? This is what we're talking about on the party bus. And one of the girls drinks this sip of champagne and goes, Susan, do you think you could solve this with AI? Now, it was also the Rosh Hashanah time, and my friend simultaneously had put in the Wailing Wall, Susan's new business is going to be a huge success. And I didn't even know he had done this. And so I go and register a domain name, and I'm still with my other company, and I'm like going through menopause, and I know some of you are not comfortable talking about it, but guess what? There are 50 million freaking women in menopause right now in the United States. By 2030, it's 1.1 billion women on the planet. So get over it. And I'm having hot flashes. I'm a hot train wreck. And in December, I decided to walk away because I couldn't stop thinking about all of the women that were suffering. And this is my father. How many of you have aging parents? So my dad said to me, he's like, Susan, it's time for you to go build your own thing. You've got to trust yourself and always adapt to your terrain. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. And so he passed last summer. And I was raised by a single dad. He was a brilliant engineer. He worked on the pacemaker, microprocessor, F-14 planes from the first Top Gun. How many of you saw the first Top Gun? Yes, amazing. And he said, you have to go do this. And one of the last things he said to me when he was dying is he said, this is your legacy. This is your life's work. And so we're going to talk about that, but I want to give you some stats because we're all nerds, which we're proud of. So why women in AI? Right now, we're approximately 23 to 30% of the skilled workforce. And there's a problem that most of the rooms are 100% men. And I'm going to get into data disparity in a conversation I had with Microsoft about synthetic data in a minute. But last year, Meta announced their AI advisory council. It was 5 white dudes. I don't have anything against white men. I've been married to one for 25 years. But then X announces their AI founding team. It's 12 men and 0 women. Here's the freaking problem. 51% of Instagram users, Facebook users are women and girls, and it does not represent the end users. How many of you that upsets you? It should, because as I get into women's health and what I'm building, so right now, just to give an example, so cardiovascular disease kills more women in the United States than the top 5 cancers combined. And it's higher, I'm mixed race, it's higher for brown women, it's higher for black women. 70% of the data used for recommendations comes from middle-aged white men. Our hearts are smaller. If you were born in India, your blood vessels are smaller. This is a problem. So when we're going out there and creating drugs and we're using artificial intelligence like we did at MIT to bring pharmaceuticals to market during the pandemic, we're using data that is very skewed. And the other issue that's happening is that when we look at this problem, and we're building these models, do you know women were prohibited from clinical trials? We were not allowed back in until 1993. And a lot of the data, so when you're building these models and they're saying, hey, here's a data set, build a model, your model is going to be corrupt. It is going to be dangerous. And you may say, well, what's the big deal? I'm just here to make money in AI. Well, guess what? It's going to kill people. So clinical trials are currently not gender differentiated 95% of the time. 2 years ago, I'm in a movie that's coming out in January. I'll talk about that in a minute. 2 years ago, we've cured Alzheimer's. How many of you saw that? And if you work in pharma, disclaiming apologies, but how many of you saw Alzheimer's? They found a cure for Alzheimer's. Anyone see that? Right? So they said it was effective 37% of the time. They didn't gender differentiate the data, and guess what? It was only 12% effective in women. And so I have on good authority that gender differentiation is currently not going to be mandated for new clinical trials. So when you're taking the drugs, when you're getting the recommendations, that's a problem. And it's killing women. So what happened in 2002, a study came out that said hormone replacement therapy is bad. Some of you are old enough to remember this, or as I like to say, gracefully sexy enough to remember this. And yes, and I remember when this came out. And so what happened prior to this, 22% of women in the US were on hormone replacement therapy. Estrogen protects our hearts. It protects our brains. This comes out and suddenly they take all women off of hormone replacement. How many women did it kill? So one study found that it killed premature deaths 40,000 to 49,000. If you model that forward, it's over 100,000, but I'm going to tell you right now the number is probably higher. Do you know, if you take away nothing from my talk, the highest suicide rate for all females are women 45 to 64 in the United States who are in perimenopause and menopause. And I was doing this talk at HP Discover, and shout out to HP because they, like Pete, kind of let me talk about whatever I want because they know it's going to be impactful. And this woman who is an SVP at one of the big casinos started crying. She's like, my mother committed suicide when she was in her 50s. And no one's talking about this. And we're building things for menopause and there's big trends, but no one is doing this. And that is why I'm looking at this in such a different way. So when we look at synthetic data, so when it was announced publicly, because I had done this large deployment, hey James, good morning. Because I had done this large historical deployment in computer vision and was very well known. Last year, I was voted one of the top women in the world in real-time AI by a third party alongside Mira Murthy, who was then at OpenAI. It was very public and a lot of press. And Microsoft approached me and said, hey, we want to back you. And so I start talking to them and they're like, well, why don't you just buy data for what you're building? Who can tell me why I wouldn't do that after what I just trained, right? I freaking love you. It's bullshit data. If you're comfortable with saying that, bullshit data, that is a t-shirt that I want. Yes, what's your first name? Sorry? Anne, let's give Anne a round of applause for this. Because it's bullshit data. And it's not gonna work. And when we're looking at healthcare, we don't need more nonsense. So what works is that the data has to be obviously validated, clinician in the loop, and it has to be free of bias. So how do you build something like that? So step one is creating your own data. So that's what I kept thinking about. I'm like, okay, well, how do we build the data? And this year we were named one of out of 300 applicants, there were 10 selected by the Mayo Clinic to be in their MedTech Accelerator. Mine was the only female-led company. So we had access to, thank you, I'll take that, Kathy, I'll take that. So we had access to all this data, EMR data and everything, but I said, no, I want different data. And coming out of IoT and vision, I wanted biometric data. I wanted to build something where being mixed race, someone comes on our platform, she doesn't have to, I can't stand choosing a swim lane for my ethnic background. That drives me freaking crazy. So many people in this country are mixed. And then again, no one has the data. So I was like, okay, what if we could build something that would allow women to have something that's engaging, gamified, that gives them predictive tools, that's helping them navigate the most challenging point in their lives. And guess what, girls? Menopause isn't a year. It's the rest of our lives. And the latest research that came out earlier this year, women as young as 30 are going into menopause. My daughter is turning 30 in a year. And it starts with the neurological symptoms. Brain fog, surges of anxiety. They're being gaslit. They're just put on different, birth control pills, which may be effective, but women as young as 30. And once you start, it's the rest of your life. And women are like, I'm out of menopause. Pete lets me talk about whatever I want, so I say this in meetings. And I'm like, well, do you have vaginal dryness? Yes, your opening keynote said vaginal dryness. We already said bullshit data. So I think we're beyond that, Ann, right? And it's not just hot flashes. There's 104 symptoms. So how else are you going to solve this if not with AI? And I get so many men coming up to me as well. And they're like, please, they're LinkedIn messaging me, please solve this. It's affecting my marriage. Please solve this. My wife is suffering. I don't know what to do for her. So this is what I think about all day long, every day. And so the vision is with AGENTIC AI is that the personal AI agent that named herself Harmony, which was fun, with an I, so we trademarked that. So what she's doing is she's taking the biometric data, she's giving you nudges, feedback, helping you with evidence-based care. And then we're allowing these multiple sensors and the mobile data to create this journey for women to help them execute. And so what I want to finish with very quickly is number one, last year that we were having this discussion at dinner last night. Do you know that last year, so this is not administration specific, funding for women-led startups went from 2.4% to less than 1% of VC dollars last year. Women-led startups, once they hit revenue, are 68% more profitable than male-led startups alone. And they even skew the data because what will happen is they'll bring in one female co-founder. It was myself and 4 guys last company, and say, oh, we have diverse co-founders, right? So that's skewing the data. But women are forced to do more with less money. And so ladies, this is my rally call to all of you: support women-led startups, vote with your dollars. Do you know the leading period tracking app was founded by 2 men? Do you know the data they collect is not even relevant to Menzies? They ask if you use sex toys. They ask if you have anal sex. I know Pete's never having me back now. I've really gone off the cliff. But it's a conversation that needs to be had. And for some of you, it's incredibly uncomfortable. But we're all in artificial intelligence. We're at an agentic conversation. We can sit here. We have sessions today and yesterday on data ethics. But 50 million women around the world use that period tracking app with things giving data away that's not relevant to anything. The other thing we do is we anonymize our users. So they there's no photos allowed. They create their username. It's an avatar. The other thing is, be willing to ask the question, who's collecting my data and what are they doing with it? And then lastly, what is the board makeup? Who is on these governance committees? Do they represent the end user? And the very, very last thing I'll say is, one of the things we do is we'll go into your company and we will do, my co-founder, Dr. Mia Chorney and I, we will come and do professional development. So if you scan that, that is going to be our white paper on the state of women in the workforce. Right now, 41% of women in this age cohort, according to McKinsey, want to leave their jobs due to lack of support for perimenopause and menopause. And it's costing U.S. companies $36 billion a year in lost productivity, according to the Mayo Clinic. So we will come in, we will do a workshop, we will help create the conversation, create the roadmap, and create the pathway. So the last thing I'll leave you with is this, since we've really covered a lot of ground in this talk. That woman in your life that I asked you about, right? Roger, you know, James, his wife is younger. She's not there yet. They have a new little 10-month-old who's darling, Ezra. But that woman in your life who I asked you about when I started this, your wife, your friend, your sister, your whoever it is, your colleague, over 70% of women who are 30 plus are suffering with these symptoms. And I would encourage you today to reach out to that woman, because you don't know if she's going to end up one of the statistics I told you about. We had so many conversations about young girls committing suicide. That number is less than half of women in this age cohort who are killing themselves every single day. So with that, thank you so much, everyone. Hopefully it's been educational.